Billy stomped in here today, and I don't know who he's mad at, but I got to be honest, I was not expecting midway through the season, as the All-Stars are being announced in baseball, for Billy to have baseball games that he cares about.
I shouldn't care about this team at this point in the season, and I say that with all due respect, and I have a date with them on Friday, but I shouldn't be caring.
You're going to the game tomorrow? You're celebrating the 4th and America by going to an old-fashioned Major League Baseball game.
Yeah, hot dogs, fireworks, baseball. Americana. You know what I mean?
That'll be a good fireworks show, right? There won't be a lot better.
Hopefully.
You'll think there'll be a lot of better fireworks shows than the one put together by the Major League Baseball team?
What would constitute where you're there watching and you're like, the fireworks show kind of sucks?
Kids crying, them being asleep, us planning to go to see fireworks with them, but then leaving early because they're fussy because it's late for them.
9 innings, 2 kids. Woof.
Starting at 7:10. If I see the fireworks tomorrow, I will be shocked. I will be shocked if I see the fireworks tomorrow.
How do the kids feel about fireworks?
They don't have feelings yet. They're 2 and 4.
Too young.
Yeah.
They feel how I feel.
Feelings.
How I tell them
how they feel about fireworks. They're probably going to be horrified crying if I were to guess. One of them likes it when we do it like in the driveway and stuff. So she'll probably like it. The 2-year-old or the soon-to-be 2-year-old will probably start crying and be scared, even though it's far away, but it's loud. I don't know. We'll see. We can talk them into it. They've seen them at Disney, and they're like sometimes okay with it, sometimes not.
Chris Cody, I will say to you that there have been 2 or 3 times over the last month that I have been away from the show and just laughing about something that you had offered on the show. And one of them was the principle, the life principle of never feeling more alive than when you're jogging slowly away from the fireworks as the fuse goes down.
A backpedal if you're really feeling it.
Zaz, you a Disney guy?
What does that mean?
Like, do you take your kids to Disney? I guess your kids are older now. They may be out of the Disney phase.
We used to, yes.
Well, because like
Disney guy.
What?
I feel like you are.
You don't know what that means?
He's got grown teenagers.
Like, that's my personality. I'm a Disney guy.
No, like, do you like to go to Disney?
No, I don't actually.
Okay, never mind then. I'm not going to tell you.
Waiting in the lines? It's the most overrated place there is, Disney.
Whoa.
So, I mean, very clearly not. You could have just said no. You know you're not. Why aren't you?
No, but you're asking, like, is it a place I used to take my kids? Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I'd be careful with that opinion, given that you're a climbing star at ESPN.
I'm allowed to not want to stand in a 3-hour line in 95 degrees.
I'm telling you, you're not doing it right. Lightning lanes nowadays, you can get there's not as long a lines as.
Dan, I feel like you haven't been there in forever. Do you understand how expensive it is to go?
I have been there in the last, I'm going to say, 5 years, and I went there right before we left ESPN with those passes that Chris talks about.
Right.
And if you have those passes, it's a great experience. You're not waiting in any lines.
Well, I'd slow down on the not
You got
waiting.
different passes.
You had
man.
different passes. We just were like able to go in
not waiting.
some day, like some random Wednesdays we could go in for free. I don't know what you had.
Like, there's the line where you wait incredibly long, and then there's the lightning pass, which is you just wait long.
Zaz, you're a rising star at ESPN. You have to make asks to make your Disney experience better. You have asks that you can make.
I get comps. I get comp tickets.
But you can get better than that. Because
really?
Yes.
No, Dan can get better than
Yeah,
that.
no,
There's a
you can't.
disconnect here. There's
I
a
don't know. I'm me.
Zaz is a rising star. Do not question Zaz's rising stardom.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Not surprisingly, at the beginning of the Shadow Show, I asked Billy why it is that he was mad. We still do not know. We have not gotten an answer to the question of what it is that he was upset about. He stomped in today.
Well, Zaz wanted to talk about Disney, so what are we supposed to do? He's the co-host today. He brings up Disney. We go down the Disney path.
Yeah, that's right.
The Marlins last night had a chance to put all of us in play so that we had a Billy Live watch party tonight as the Marlins went for a winning streak larger than any winning streak in franchise history. I liked Billy watching 9 innings of Twins, Marlins baseball.
Twinkies.
But he was denied that because the Marlins lost 2-1, and their 8-game winning streak, which could have become 9 and tied the franchise record, dissolved because of controversy. We sent Jeremy Taché out to Marlins Park. We will have a live report from the controversy. What was the controversy, Billy?
So it was in the 6th inning. We have the video here if you want to see the video here for those of you who are on YouTube who are not tuned in to Marlins Twins. So Kyle Stowers just hits a ball that seems to be a base hit right up the middle. Runner on second base comes around to score. Everyone's saying, okay, tie game 2-2. But no, if you look, the umpire throws up his hands and he says,
does it even hit him?
I interfered with this play. And if you watch it, it barely grazed him, if even that. The run was sure to score anyways. Ball doesn't even seem to really change directions. So what they end up doing is they don't say, okay, you know what, runners on first and third. No. They sent Jesus Sanchez back to second base when he was halfway to third base with his lead anyways and said, no, dead ball, runner doesn't advance, and there's no review of this. It remains a 2-1 game.
For those of you not watching, there was a runner in scoring position at second base. It's a line drive, clear as day up the middle. No one's near it except the umpire. The second baseman and the shortstop are nowhere near it. The ball is hit hard. The only reason I know that the ball hit the umpire is because the umpire immediately threw his hands up to say it had hit him, and that's an automatic dead ball. But even on replay, I cannot tell that you're slowing it down for me, you're freezing it for me, and I still can't tell that the ball hit the umpire, and you're mad. You knew the rule beforehand, right, that if it hits the umpire, it's an immediate dead ball, but you didn't know that they send Sanchez back to second.
I think everyone was confused, and, on the call, Tommy Hutton was, Tommy Hutton. He was not happy with the way
he upset.
He seemed a little hot under the collar after this call.
He always does, though. At Le Batard Show, does Tommy Hutton always seem a little bit hot under the collar? You guys are with me on this when I said yesterday that I've rarely been more scared during a sporting participation than playing third base in a softball game against Ozzie and Jose Canseco. That's why right there. The way the ball comes off Stowers' bat, that is an umpire who's not anywhere near where that ball's being hit, and he does not have the speed.
Here's exactly where the ball was being hit.
The exit velocity on what it is that's happening there, he doesn't have the speed to get out of the way.
Can we be honest, though? That's garbage reflex by the umpire. It is. Whatever, all right? He's not standing in front of the pitcher's mound. That's garbage reflex. If you're going to stand there, it's your job, okay, you got to stand there. It's also your job to not get hit by that ball. And that's garbage. That's garbage reflex.
It didn't impact the play, and also, I feel like, if we're going to be honest, he wasn't paying attention.
I don't think it hit him. I'm going to tell you, I don't think it hit him.
You don't think it hit him?
No, I don't.
100% hit him.
I don't think
I'm not
100%.
It clearly changes direction.
It does change direction.
I don't
What's
know.
weird is it actually
Little
makes
English
it,
on that ball.
Physics.
The deflection actually carries it closer to the second baseman, which is, Marlins got boned there.
Mm-hmm. He should be diving, if he's diving to catch it, but in the opposite direction, out of the way, if he was paying attention. I think he's in that no man's land where it's I'm not calling balls and strikes. There's not anyone on first base.
No, I know what it is.
What do I have to do?
I know what happened. It's garbage reflex.
I do like Billy's theory, though, that the umpire was thinking about other things. There's so much time out there to be thinking about other things that it is possible that he just wasn't paying. Think about how many times he's standing behind the pitcher board and the ball's not hitting him, not hit anywhere near him, and he doesn't have to worry
He's
about
watching
it.
the runner on second base. Is there going to be a pickoff? No one's even covering second base. What am I doing with my life?
There have to be times where the umpires down the line
This is what I'm
have a
thinking.
check swing
That's exactly
and they're
what I'm
daydreaming.
thinking. Yes.
And all of a sudden the home plate umpire's pointing
Shit,
down to
they're
them
coming to me.
and they're just like, nope. Like, they just have to say something.
I'm totally with you. That definitely happens where you weren't paying the closest attention at third to the checks. Oh, shit, they're coming to me.
Yeah, the ump's having marital problems.
Yeah,
like
right.
they're
He's just
trying-
thinking about life.
Yeah, just something.
Definitely.
There's something wrong with the tuition payment. Like he's thinking about something
Checking
else.
in on parlays or
There's-
something.
Yeah, that too. That you can
Not baseball, guys. Okay.
Well, he's really happy
Other
about his
sports.
Twins leg of that parlay.
Well, he's probably also thinking like, you know what? Like tomorrow noon game. What are we? Maybe I can move my flight back
Sorry
a little
about
bit,
that. I
head
hit
to
the
the
wrong
beach
button.
or something.
Time to throw
What's
away
this?
all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good. I'm good. Someone's good.
You're good.
He's on the take.
I mean,
I didn't say that.
You did kind of
I
say
did not.
that.
No, I
You
said
did-
not baseball.
You did kind of say. You
Parlays.
said you can't be an umpire and bet on other parlays.
Yeah, you could be betting on the WNBA. Could he not?
I don't believe that.
Commissioner's Cup was just the other day.
I'm going to guess that there's a rule against umpires doing any gambling of any sort. I'm also going to guess possibly that umpires aren't even allowed to go into a casino in Vegas.
That
and
they're not
gamble.
allowed. They're definitely not allowed that.
Really?
Yeah, you can't go in a casino.
What if they want to go see a magic show?
Better hustle in and out of that casino.
If you get caught off guard down the line with a check swing, you always just go no swing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't
throw the
go
save. It's easy.
swing if you're just like,
I've always theorized this.
no clue.
They're not locked in on every
right.
pitch.
It's like,
Right.
Can't be.
Right.
Put it on the poll, please, at Batard Show. If the umpire is daydreaming on a check swing, is he just going to hold his hands out in the safe gesture?
Like,
Ma-
it's too much paying attention to be locked in on every pitch when you're standing at third
and
base.
there had to be one where it's like, that one I was locked in on. They didn't ask me.
I want the honest umpire that like points down to first base. That umpire points to second base. He's like, you
got it?
What do you think?
or
know,
just a shrug. It could just be.
In the NBA, that happens all the time with the referees, where like he looks for help. He doesn't know if who it went out on. Why does that never happen at first base? They always know.
You know what drives me crazy in basketball? When the official furthest away from the play makes a call.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
That's your call.
Come on.
Hey, that's his call. He didn't say anything.
Come on.
NBA officials, we can say bet on the games, right?
I mean-
like, that's confirmed.
Right, hit the
Hold
sounder.
on a
right?
second.
No, I mean, damn, that's not
there was
even.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
By the way, did you see the Malik Beasley stuff? I told you, there are other factors in life. It isn't necessarily a dude trying to cash a teaser. This guy seemed to be under it a little bit.
Well, that's what I was saying to you guys when you don't know what someone's financial issues are, no matter how many millions they're into, and you don't know what someone's gambling problem is either.
Yeah, well, that's where I took offense. Like, he may not have the gambling problem. He may be doing something for someone else that does because he's under it.
That's right. And I believe that is the general danger that everyone has underestimated in normalizing and enjoying gambling the way that this show does.
But wouldn't the danger be when it's not regulated, so it doesn't go checked like this?
I'm with you. Like, everyone's just going to point and say, hey, there are more of these now, and it's clearly because gambling is legal in all these
we're just
additional
catching
states.
it more.
But these leagues have partnerships with these betting partners that hand over the data. It's what happened with Calvin Ridley, where they hand over the data to the league and say, hey, this is suspicious. This is a pattern directly
That
from
wouldn't
this
have been
person.
caught before it was legalized.
No, and it also goes without saying that this stuff, Malik Beasley, there are probably dozens upon dozens of examples of Malik Beasleys out there that have gone totally unchecked, even with the current state of affairs, with these checks and balances. But prior to, I mean, so many people got away with this
It's
stuff
happening for
back in the day.
hundreds of years.
Yes.
By the way, Terry Rozier cleared.
Yeah, we talked about that, and Mike Ryan was enjoying the fact that he was accused of fixing games but was cleared and is simply bad at basketball and was accused of fixing games because he's that bad at basketball. But we have in play already what it is that I said about, or what it is they said about the umpire and check swings. Can you guys find for me information whether umpires or referees can indeed go into a casino of any kind? And I want to ask the poll question at Batard Show. If umpires are not allowed in casinos, can an umpire go through the casino lobby to go to the magic show? Yes or no? Because I don't think you're allowed to gamble, but maybe the ban extends to, like, you can't go at the Bellagio to see O either, which would be the greater hurt for an umpire who has no interest in gambling, but perhaps is interested
What
in
if
the
you just like the
arts.
Blue Man Group, you know, and now you can't go anymore?
He has to go outside
Yeah.
to get to the theater.
Yes, an MLB umpire can physically enter or walk through a casino so long as they do not violate MLB's gambling rules.
All right.
But they can't gamble on anything, correct? They're not
That
allowed.
would be violating MLB's gambling
Can they
rules.
gamble on lotto? Are umpires allowed to gamble on the lottery? And also put this on the poll, does Rick Carlisle look like a retired member of the Blue Man Group at Batard show? Before I do any more Marlins talk, because, Billy, I do want to get into this team. And
we've done enough of them, probably.
MLB umpires can play the state lottery. Wow. They can even they can even bet on other sports legally.
Can they roll dice?
How about the ponies?
I assume if they can bet on other sports.
Highlight?
Yeah, they can do that.
Wow.
so
Yeah.
you were right, Billy. So
Yeah.
you were totally
Apologies.
right. Yes, I will apologize to you because you were right. Before I go any further, though, I would like to address with the group, when was the last time particularly that you saw the flames and the volume get this high on the Miami Heat? Because a lot of people right now are mad at Barry Jackson because he's reporting the Miami Heat's quote-unquote plan, and it isn't much of a plan. And the internet is pretty mad, okay, at, in general, what's happened to the Miami Heat. So you've got Evan Parsons, 85, saying this is the
What'd
type
he
of
say?
shit that pisses me off, them running propaganda ops through their big three, Barry, Ethan, and Lebitard. That's not going to work anymore. And now whenever I hear them talk about the team, I feel like I'm being played. Biscayne, Maine says Heat culture is all about taking accountability unless you're the architect of the franchise putting together these teams. Big idiot Heat guy says, find someone who's willing to make excuses about you in the same way Pat Riley is willing to make excuses for the mediocre-ass roster he assembled. And then Greg Silender, the writer, says, a close friend who's been a Heat fan since before Riley just texted me, yeah, I'm out.
They're just going to continue to tread water, which is what the one thing that Heat fans didn't want to see after the years of frustration finally caught up to the majority of the fan base. There were subsects of the fan base that were like, I don't think this is the right path.
I mean, I'm aggravated. I haven't been aggravated like this in, I don't know.
You should be. I was talking to Billy before the show. I'm like, their plan is essentially to run it back. And he correctly said, well, they're not running it back. Duncan Robinson isn't here anymore. They might actually be worse. Their plan is... There was a part in this article of Barry's, which is the Heat don't feel like they actually got a fair shot to evaluate the roster because of all the chaos Jimmy Butler caused. Yeah. Again, not exactly accepting your accountability on your part in the Jimmy Butler mess, Miami, but that's fine. They also blamed Andrew Wiggins' ankle injury. They want to develop these young assets, hopefully trade for a superstar, but there is a huge flaw in the logic, and even Barry Jackson admits this. Say they develop guys. They already have 2 All-Stars in Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. Their package, if they went all in on trying to acquire a superstar like Giannis, they don't have a good hand compared to Houston or San Antonio. They're still falling short. And the reason why they don't want to go in the other direction and tank is because they point to several examples of where tanking doesn't work. They don't point to the Oklahoma City Thunder where it does work spectacularly. Do they not have confidence in their own ability to rebuild the roster? Their best trade assets are the 2 All-Stars, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo. We got a season. They blamed the Jimmy Butler chaos, but we got
the Rockets tanked too, correct? The Rockets
Yes.
also tanked and got rewarded for tanking.
And they took your lunch money on Kevin Durant, and they still have plenty of assets to go ahead and beat you to Giannis. So it's
Okay, but
just
that part's
really
not hard.
disappointing.
Why they're not willing to do the tanking part. Riley's 80. That's why. Like, that part's not hard.
But, okay, so what's more important? Riley's age? And I'm just asking this question because you could answer that Riley gets to go however he wants because he's the godfather and he brought us all this success and he made the franchise relevant. But what is more important? Riley's age and his timetable or the betterment of the franchise?
I want to ask you guys a number of questions related to that point right there, okay, that he just mentioned, because this is the loudest I've ever heard it around Pat Riley. Jeff Teague is saying, quote, you know what's so funny?
What do you have to say?
What Pat said at the end of the year. This won't be the same team as last year. Yeah, well, you're right. Actually, it won't. You let Duncan go, you got worse, unless they are about to get Bradley Beal something or shit. End quote.
It's right on the money, and Pat said that.
It's not right on the money. The move that Jeff Teague wants him to make is getting Bradley Beal?
No, it's right on the money in calling out what Pat Riley said at the end of the year, which got Heat fans excited. All right, the Godfather finally realizes he got hit in the face with the biggest blowout in NBA playoff history. There are changes coming. And the changes are Duncan Robinson isn't going to be here anymore. That's true. Now, the Bradley Beal thing, cast that to the side. But it's absolutely a fair accusation. And to me, it leads me to believe, wait, there is an alignment here in what Pat said and what the final verdict was. So who's in charge?
Zaz, let's do this, because I will say, when you say who's in charge, this is an interesting one, right? Because I floated this guy to you guys before, because this is a bit of a crossroads for the Miami Heat. And I've told you the inner workings of this team aren't what people think it is. The people who run this team are Mickey and Nick Arison. Nick is Pat Riley's boss. When Mickey Arison came up through the cruise line industry, he was put in charge of everything when he was 30 years old, and he did the same thing for his son with this organization. And I'm not positive that Nick and Pat are connected right here. Where Pat is at 80, I want to win right now, and I don't know if Nick would rather have the draft picks or not, and I don't know what kind of tension it might cause, because it has caused tension, and it's not big tension, but how do you imagine Pat Riley feels about reporting to Nick Arison, who used to be a ball boy? How do you imagine that would go in the places where there's disagreement and Nick has to win things? I don't know. I don't have the answer for you on how often Nick is overruling Pat, how often Nick is the deciding vote in the vote of 5 among the group of 5 that make the decision. But I will keep telling you again and again, and no one seems to know this, the person that Pat Riley reports to is Nick Arison.
I mean, Nick was probably 10 years old when Pat Riley got here, right? I'm being serious. Like 19... He was probably 10 years old, something like that, and now it's his boss. But wouldn't you assume, if we're just using common sense here, wouldn't you assume the CEO, who is Nick Arison's age, whatever he is, 40, whatever he is, and Pat Riley, who is 80, wouldn't you assume that they're on completely different sides of how to move forward with this team? Like, wouldn't that be common sense?
I think the way, though, that it comes off, whether it's intentional or not, is when it's good times, it's Pat Riley. When it's bad times, he can't do anything. It's not his fault. His hands are tied.
What I'm telling you, though, is that Pat's not going to draft. He's not going to go for 6 draft picks like that. He's not going to do that. You guys got to tell me whether you're okay with this. This is what you have to answer for me if we're going to go ahead and flush out this hypothetical. You guys good with Pat Riley just stepping down because the Heat decide to go to rebuild?
Yeah.
Am I good with it if that's what he decides on?
No, but he would be being forced out because they're running the organization differently than you guys want it to be run, and differently than he would want it to be run. I
just want the franchise to get to being a contender quickly.
But how long is his leash is the question, right? Because like everyone's like, yeah, Pat can go out on his own terms, but like if this is just the same thing every year for the next decade, how long is it going to be he can go out on his own terms for?
Here's a couple of things that have bothered me about Miami Heat fans pushing back on this notion. Everyone points to the 2 finals in 3 years, and you got to
pushing back on the notion that Pat Riley,
that he's done and that he's cooked. Look, man, they won 2 Eastern Conference championships. Number one, the roster's totally different right now. Number two, that was a long time ago because the Dallas Mavericks were. It was a long time ago. The Dallas Mavericks were in the NBA Finals more recently than the Miami Heat, and they were a punchline come Martin Luther King Day. So we were all laughing at Dallas, but apparently we can't laugh at Miami for being the same kind of disaster. I genuinely don't know what is the quicker path to being a contender. Writing it out, and presumably they hope that they can develop the young guys into assets that can somehow usurp the package that Houston and San Antonio could present for a superstar, or just saying, Bam and Tyler are our best assets right now. Let's get a bevy of picks and do it the Houston way.
I think the most damning thing about the Heat and Pat and just like the front office right now is, it's crazy to say, but it was 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, you had LeBron James, you had Dwayne Wade, you had Chris Bosh, back-to-back titles. You were the toast of the town. You were the team everyone envied in the NBA. People hated, whatever, right? You took the town from the Dolphins. And in 10 years, you're on the precipice of losing the town to a hockey team. Yep.
Well,
you're trending towards losing the town to a hockey team that historically Miami has not cared about.
Yeah, that's not true. I mean, as much as I love the Panthers, and the Panthers, I mean, essentially get my attention first these days, they're not in jeopardy of losing the town.
You think if you go around the town, everyone's like, the Heat, the Heat, the Heat?
It's two different towns.
Yeah,
We're talking about Broward and Dade. It's two different places.
Yeah, there are incremental gains in Miami-Dade, and they're going to have to keep chipping away. Like A.J. Greer is having a party in Westchester tonight. That's something that would.
Whoa, what's going on there? I don't know about that.
A fourth-line winger is going to a local brewery to celebrate the Stanley Cup in Westchester. It boggles the mind.
Is he going to have the cup? He's not going to have the cup. They're putting the names
the
on
cup.
it right
Yeah,
now,
they're
right?
engraving it right
To be fair, though, to what it is the Heat have built here, just to be clear, and Zaz is right about this, the Panthers are becoming something that is more of a Dade County team. The Heat, over the virtue of the last 20 years, are Dade and Broward.
Yeah,
They're not just Dade.
No doubt, but to Billy's point, Greg Cody wrote an entire column on this, is like the shoe's on the other foot now. The Panthers are what the Heat once were, and the Heat,
with the great management and the winning.
In terms of where they are as a franchise and getting close to a championship and the perception and the respect that they garner from around the league and what the fans actually feel about their team's chances, the Miami Heat are stuck in the middle of no man's land right now.
They are, but let me just stop you guys for a second on what it is you're doing. First of all, I want to ask a question. Mike has now used this expression a handful of times over the last few weeks. He has commented on the taking of lunch money. Are we still doing lunch money given that we're not doing cash anymore?
No, actually, the bill that just passed made sure that there is no more lunch money and no more lunch period.
Passed. The big, beautiful bill just passed this morning at 6 a.m.
Well, part of the deal was they can't call it that anymore because that triggers people.
All right. But lunch money, physical lunch money, is that something that bullies still take? Put it on the poll at Batard Show. Is lunch money still something that bullies take? But the place that I wanted to stop you guys, and forgive the fire alarm, we're going to just blow right through it because we're on live and we don't care. And
What if
we
there's
didn't
a fire?
get the preemptive. This is just a drill today.
Right. We will continue
Might
to
be a
ignore
fire.
these
It
until
smells
one
something.
day we get the viral moment of all of us going up in flames here because we've ignored the fire alarm again. But the thing that you guys do, and this is really easy to do, right? Because we all get to be general managers and no one holds us accountable for when we get it wrong. You say the Heat have failed the last few years. Well, you guys didn't want Harden. You didn't want Kyrie Irving. You didn't want them. They were both available. They've just signed quietly elsewhere. It seems to have worked out. You didn't want those guys. You wanted Dame. And if you'd gotten him, you wouldn't be real happy right now if Damian Lillard had also gotten here. So all your moves end up working, even though they don't, because Harden just signed quietly with the Clippers. Hasn't been an issue there. They love having him, $40 million a year. Kyrie Irving just signed quietly with Dallas. Doesn't seem to have any problems there.
I don't know if what you're doing is right. Again, apologies for this fire alarm. That does not shut the fuck up.
I can't hear you.
We were talking about Tyler Hero for James Harden. That was an actual debate, and a lot of people felt really strongly about getting James Harden. Kyrie Irving had a lot of off-the-court stuff going on at the time.
They both did.
And this was at the time where Miami was actually competing for Eastern Conference championships. But there were plenty of arguments to be made, and I think most people landed on whatever the franchise decides on. Damian Lillard, yeah, we wanted Damian Lillard. Miami Heat wanted Damian Lillard too, and they approached that like total assholes, all right? And they failed. In fact, every example that you cited, Miami kicked the tires and tried to put together something to get these players, and they failed.
My biggest problem with the Heat's plan right now is they are seeming. It doesn't have to be seemingly. Their MO is to have all these assets, young players, whatever draft picks they have, and they are waiting for a star player, a superstar player, to get upset with his current situation, and then they are going to pounce. And to me, that's not a plan. Like, hoping that someone gets... Because it's plentyfold, where you're hoping for someone to get angry enough to want to be out, and then you're also hoping for that team to be willing... You're not just convincing a free agent to come to you. It's you have to convince that team to then send him to you. But in reality, that player has to make a mess of the situation so that it doesn't matter if another team has better assets than you. And that, to me... That's not a plan.
Okay, you say it's not a plan, but I would say that it's been the transplant plan of Pat Riley since he got here. Go get Alonzo Mourning. Go get Tim Hardaway. Go get Jimmy Butler. Go get LeBron James. Like, he hit on Wade and changed his entire philosophy as, okay, I will trust young players. I'm not going to do it anymore the way that I did it with the Knicks and the Lakers.
Yeah, but what happens with Duncan Robinson, who's one of these guys who's on your roster who you don't end up trading because you believe in him, and now he's gone anyways. So you never traded him for a star, and now you've got got nothing in return for him.
That's true, and you got a player that you invented out of nothing, as you've gotten the reputation for doing since drafting Dwayne Wade gave you the opportunity to change your entire philosophy on how it is Pat Riley does things, because he now does trust young players in a way. That was the biggest knock on Pat Riley. The only knock on Pat Riley is he will not allow young players to grow. But when you say that's not a plan, what do you mean? Miami's a transient community, and this franchise is absolutely has rested for the last 15 years on the plan of we'll wait until somebody's mad where they are and we will get them because we have better tax breaks in Florida.
But they don't get them.
Yeah, that example right there has not happened since Goran Dragic.
No, it happened with Jimmy Butler.
He's a free agent, though.
Yeah, but he was unhappy where he was, and they got Jimmy Butler when they didn't. When no one thought they could get Jimmy Butler.
Look how that played out too, though. Like you get the disgruntled guy, and then he comes in and he's disgruntled and he makes a mess and throws off your
what
plan.
What do you mean? How did that work out? It worked out spectacularly.
No, it didn't. This is championship culture. They didn't win a championship. Don't come with this bullshit of we're going to win the championship or bust, and then not win a championship. Like, but we got super close.
But they failed him in the Sixers. He wasn't disgruntled. The Sixers chose Tobias Harrison to move the roster in a different direction.
He was disgruntled with wherever he was in Minnesota and Philadelphia. He wanted his money. The thing that you guys are doing on this, though, is that Jimmy Butler failed, but Kyrie Irving hasn't, or James Harden hasn't. Like, they were the available guys. You wanted them. They've been successful, but they didn't get ultimate success, so they failed. They just got Harden and Irving just got re-signed because they failed in Dallas and Los Angeles.
I'm not going to go as far as to say They fell short of their ultimate goal, which is a championship. They certainly, Coach Spoelstra certainly maximized the talent available on the roster. Pat Riley did fail because it was clear as from the day that we acquired Jimmy Butler, they needed a player better than Jimmy Butler to win a title. Now, Jimmy Butler made us think about that more than twice with incredible playoff performances, but the fact remained they needed to get somebody better. They knew this. And along the way, players like that popped up that did the things that you want the disgruntled superstars to do. And the Miami Heat were in the mix. And usually that resulted in the Miami Heat getting those players. They didn't.
They chose not to. Like, they
routinely.
didn't want to go all in to support Jimmy Butler for some reason.
They didn't want to go
and
all
then
in on Lillard.
Historically, who's a disgruntled person, became disgruntled again here because he felt like he wasn't getting the support that he was asking for. And now he left, and here they are.
So I want to ask everybody this question because you've heard me say a number of different times while watching, for example, the Patriots. I can't even imagine what Boston sports radio is right now when it comes to conversations about the Patriots. Because you get so spoiled of, we expect to win the championship a third of the time. The Miami Heat have placed the standard in a place that makes all of this louder than it has been at any time, at least in part because of where they place the standard of, the fan base is used to getting whoever or whatever they want. And now when they don't get the people they want, you guys say that Jimmy Butler is a failure somehow, or the Jimmy Butler experience was a failure when it went from Dion Waiters and Hassan Whiteside to they're in the finals twice.
Can we travel back in time, though, momentarily? What was the general feeling when the Miami Heat got pretty much beat up by the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals?
Not good enough.
They're not good enough. Everyone agreed. Incredible season, maximize it. Hell yeah, we beat Boston. That feels amazing. But if we want to win a title, we know we got to get better. 3 years have gone by of them failing to get better. They've gotten worse.
Agreed.
I think after 3 years, and I was sounding the alarms after they made the final saying that this isn't good enough, and I was confused as everybody else around us got better. All right, that's fine. Year 1, maybe I knee-jerk. Year 2, start listening to me. Year 3, that's why the Flames are as high as they've ever been.
I understand. Bam said at the last presser there are going to be a lot of changes this summer. Be prepared for that. And there hasn't been anything since, and I understand the frustration. The place that I'm just stopping you guys, at the risk of being accused of being accused of being a mouthpiece for the Heat.
You're part of the big three.
I am part of the big three. I didn't like my ranking there. Barry, Ethan, then me.
Well, you occasionally go into it.
You build up.
You're not as consistent as the other guys in being a mouthpiece.
Because I am never, ever leaked anything volunteered. That's not something the organization does. I sometimes go around and ask questions. But the demand being made, I get it. I get the frustration. But please understand when you point to me and you say, okay, they did what they did with Jimmy Butler and got to the finals and then weren't good enough. And then you're saying, you know what I realized during the finals? Need someone better than Jokic. Okay. You
Not
win.
necessarily.
No, but you win.
Need someone better than Jimmy.
No.
And that was consistent. That
But
was a
Mike,
6-year
Mike,
conversation.
You get to Denver, and the reason you lose is because Jimmy's not as good as Jokic.
Right, but what we were worried about wasn't necessarily like, look, they got to make it through the West. Hopefully, someone takes Jokic out before you get there.
But
it wasn't a sustainable business model. Being able to beat Boston, it was wonderful that you did it as many times as you did. But everybody else continued to improve, and we didn't.
You say a sustainable model. I would say that the Heat selling out their arena has been a sustainable model for 15 years because they've been relevant. And I would also say that while Pat Riley set the standard at championship or bust, it makes damn near every player in the league a bust to make it championship or bust. Because by that definition, Jimmy Butler is a bust. By that definition.
Agreed. We're on the same page.
But I don't agree.
Good.
I don't agree with that.
You just said it.
I
You
don't
just
agree with
said
it.
We agree.
By that definition.
Well, Jimmy Butler agrees. And whether you think it's performative or not, he has given plenty of interviews since his departure, and even while he was here being allegedly happy, saying we failed.
Right, and Luka failed last year and then was traded because he's a bust too. We're just going to keep
But
doing
we're just
that.
giving Pat Riley a pass forever. Like, he can just do whatever he wants. And
he's
whatever,
not getting
Pat
a
Riley.
I don't think anyone's giving him a pass.
First of all,
please,
he's
we're
not
giving him a
getting
pass right now.
Well, first of all, he's not getting a pass. Second of all, if anyone in sports were to get a Pat Riley or forever pass, I'd name it after Pat Riley because.
Same, because he gets it forever.
Well, just I don't know what. So what would you do, Billy? Say it.
What would I do?
Yeah, right now, just say it.
I think Pat Riley needs to go. I don't think that anyone's been beating around the bush
So
on this.
fire him.
Would I fire him? I mean, I would say I think that we need to move in a different direction.
So fire him.
Yeah.
Would that
Forced out.
necessarily be fired? Like, he may decide to resign if Nick Arison tells him, hey, we just don't agree with your plan. We're going to trade Bam. We're going to trade Tyler. This is the direction that the franchise is going to go into. And I can see Pat Riley saying, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm just going to willingly step down. You never fire. Pat Riley should never be fired.
This thing that you guys are
But he's
doing.
not going to leave on his own volition.
I think he might if that's presented to him. Dan would know.
If that hypothetical, I have not asked, so I don't know that, and I'm just throwing it out there as a hypothetical, but it would make sense. It's a logical hypothetical for Nick to have not been in charge for as long as he has been and to want to be in charge now that they're making a change. I would say to all of you, though, if you're firing Pat Riley, then you're also saying that the rest of it isn't, because Spo has a tremendous amount to do with every decision being made around there. He's 1/5 of. It's him,
But you
Ellis
see,
Berger.
like, now it's not Pat Riley, it's Eric Spoelstra's fault that
But
this
no,
isn't
Billy,
working out. And they're not
everyone-
it's just never Pat Riley's fault.
Everyone, dude, we're the only ones talking about the five.
We're the only ones talking about
Everyone
the
is
Heat
saying
today.
it's Pat
obviously.
Riley's
Everybody
fault.
nationally, it's just Pat
Everyone.
Riley.
You put on television, Stephen A. Smith only refers to Pat Riley. He never says Nick Arison
Like,
or Andy Ellis.
Outside of us on this show right here saying that there's a five-headed monster here, I don't hear anyone else.
No
Everyone
one
else
else
is
says
just
that.
Pat
Yeah.
Riley.
And that's okay, though, but that's how the whole thing is set up. It has worked for many years.
So what would you do?
And it'll, by
if
the
this,
way,
if this is not working according to you, what would you do?
if I may, before you answer that perception nationally is how Pat Riley likes it.
Oh, yeah.
That's why Pat Riley is the one that's doing the end
It's
of the
how the
season.
Arisons-
I think it's how the organization
it's
likes
how
it.
the
Yeah.
Arisons
Oh,
like it.
no, it's
as
mutually
well.
beneficial. And Pat loves going out there and gassing up the Heat fans, talking about Wales and talking about changes and leaning into the godfatherness of that.
You say he loves that, but there's a reason he only talks to the press once or twice a year now. He doesn't actually want to do much
Now he
of
doesn't
that
love
anymore.
attention. Versace man with his slick back hair doesn't like the spotlight.
He doesn't like to get
Versace
in
man.
Spoelstra's way on whatever the voice for the organization is, and so he doesn't actually speak very much. And everyone, I told you guys this recently, everyone in Hollywood says that the big documentaries that can get made by anybody at any time are Larry Bird and Pat Riley.
Can we trade that in for Giannis? Like, can we? The provisional green light for Pat Riley's documentary, is that a trade chip
Let me
for us?
let me
Larry
ask.
Bird would be so boring.
The
Imagine
Hick from-
Larry Bird documentary.
It's the stories by others that would be.
I think
good.
a Larry Bird documentary in theaters would be out of theaters by week 2.
Really? You don't think so?
Oh,
I
it'd
think
be a
he
massive
talks,
loss.
He's famously like a great shit talker. He's the Hick from French Lick, the rivalry with Magic dating back to college, being a white guy in Boston. I think there are plenty of
There's a
interesting
lot
stories.
of white guys in Boston.
No, but you know what I mean.
Let me answer Billy's question here because I don't want to avoid it when he says what it is that I would do. And I will say that you can catch me in an inconsistency here locally. Billy, if you remember, as my father does, how insulted Don Shula was that I called for his replacement in the Miami Herald.
Cobbler.
When he has the same kind of reputation that Pat Riley does in this town and with building this organization.
That doesn't get the same attention as my dad's Trade Marino column. You did a fire Shula column?
Yeah, because I wanted to replace him with Jimmy Johnson. And so what I'm
Shula grilled him.
Well, yeah, he was mad at me. But what I say to Billy in terms of an answer on the Miami Heat is I would be fine, actually, with you telling me that the Miami Heat have a different plan for Pat Riley that will have a graceful exit for him, and you have a better solution for me. Like, because it's just going to be Spo in charge of the organization.
Right, what would change if Riley's not running the show today?
You'd bring in someone else to run the
I
organization.
don't think they would, though.
It would be someone in the organization.
It's going to be somebody the Arisons want.
Adam Simon, probably.
It's going
Bill
to be
Zito look like?
It's going to be
Masai.
somebody that the Arisons already know, and the Arisons aren't going to make it look like Pat Riley was fired. Like that's not ever going to happen.
Okay, but not the Arisons. What would Dan Lebitard do? This is not what would the
give me
Arisons
someone
do.
better.
Okay,
Give me someone
exactly.
better.
Okay.
Is Spo better?
And if you find someone better, what do you do?
No, Spo's not better because Spo's already there. He's already doing it. Like what's better about Spo being in charge?
There seem to be a lot of people better at it right now in the NBA. Over the last 3 years, it's hard to argue.
Give me a name that would excite you guys.
Sam Presti.
I would love
You're
Brad
in charge
Stevens.
in this scenario.
Give me Brad Stevens.
Okay, great. Go get Brad.
Vegas legend, Carrot Top.
The man is a legend, and he's a legend in Vegas where it's hard to be a legend. I've seen him. His face is ID to get into all the big places. And he's also, though, he's a Florida guy as well, and I think he should be a Panther fan because he grew up in Boca. So I don't know where he is, but I believe he's bigger than Wayne Newton now. He's more Vegas than Wayne Newton, and I'm not joking when I say comedy legend for 40 bleeping years. 40 bleeping years and still doing it 4 times a night in Vegas. You, Carrot Top, Mr. Top, are rooting for who in this series?
You can't say 40 bleeping years. It just doesn't sound cool. You gotta say 40 years. But it's gonna be really rough. This might be the hardest decision of my life, being from Boca. I think I performed at the Sunrise Musical Theater when I was young. But my roots, I'm in Vegas. They're listening to me right now. I'm here in Las Vegas, and it's tough. I got to be honest. I think my heart is a little more for Las Vegas.
What? No!
I know.
No!
I'm here every
You
night.
sell out. You sell out.
Are you cranking it before the game?
You mean like drugs?
No, I mean the thing where you crank it and you get everybody hyped.
Hey, are you cranking it before? Yeah, man. No,
Have you ever cranked it?
Yes, they have. That's a personal question, but yes, I have cranked it. They gave me that one twice. I've done it twice, and apparently Wayne Newton has beaten me by one crank. So
I was watching. I was at game 2, and I was watching.
I've got to
Wayne
catch
Newton
up on
crank
crank. I got to catch up on a crank.
Wayne looks great.
Wayne looks like hell. What are you talking about? Be honest.
Come on, Karen Tom. That's not enough.
No. I love Wayne. Seriously.
Then you can't take out the legend. What's the matter with you? But you are.
I
You are
I
more
love Wayne.
Vegas. No, you are more Vegas than him, though. You are.
I helped. No, he's Mr. Vegas. I'm Mrs. Vegas. He changed one night. We were doing a video. And it's really hot, right? I looked over and Wayne Newton's hair was dripping. So I went over and I said, I said, I got to fix your hair. And he looked back at me and I said, it's just drip. It was like a little black, guy was dripping. So
That's not natural?
No, it's natural. It's just naturally dripping. It was naturally dripping.
Wait, I want to really.
I didn't let him sit there and drip. I thought I should probably step in.
But you have seen Hollywood melt away, vanity melt away, and so you had to laugh to yourself that symbol for Vegas excess, that his hair was dripping down his face.
Yeah, I know what to do. No one else was doing it. The makeup artist was like, I'm not touching it. I'm like, somebody.
Guys, the boys of summer are back. I'm talking Barry Larkin, Rafael Palmeiro, Nick Markakis. They're all playing really important games right now in Major League Baseball. Tickets are in sky-high demand, and you want to get a deal on those games. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DAN, that is D-A-N, for $20 off your first purchase. Whether it's last-minute tickets that you need to get to catch your favorite team, or you're chasing a perfect summer night, Game Time has your back with incredible last-minute MLB deals. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Go buy some tickets and watch Grady Sizemore and Travis Hafner.
Mike has not really been paying attention to baseball since Nick Markakis. He's missing out on some pretty good stuff.
I follow the Mariners, and it seems as though Big Dumper's having an all-time season
it's
for a catcher.
Unbelievable. It's not for a catcher, for anybody.
He's awesome.
It's not for a catcher. I'm watching yesterday. Jacob Mizorowski for the Brewers, another one of these guys who throws 100 miles an hour, and it doesn't even make sense because he's so skinny, and it's just all slingshot. It's 6'7". If that guy weighs 190 pounds, it would be a lot, and it's all slingshot. And I saw that Clayton Kershaw just got his 3,000 strikeout last night, which is impressive until you consider that Randy Johnson has about 5,000. Because the slingshotting of a baseball when you're 6'10" from the arm angle that's on top of you makes it nearly impossible to hit. Like I've seen guys against Mizorowski contort themselves into a corkscrew, professional hitters trying to hit his slider because it goes from the center of the plate to their knees.
He also, and I was surprised by this, has like 400 career strikeouts less than Max Scherzer.
I don't think that you have the numbers right.
Clayton Kershaw has 400 strikeouts less than Max Scherzer.
Okay, so Kershaw, I thought you were doing Mizorowski.
No, he has substantially less.
Not that many less given how he started. Like he's the first pitcher ever to come out of the box. His first 3 games doesn't allow any hits and is just striking everybody out.
The point remains, if you want to sit in your seat and cheer on Ubaldo Jimenez, download the Game Time app today.
It is the point that remains. Did you guys see yesterday? I don't know if you guys care about this at all, but they moved Lindor out of the leadoff spot for the first time against Mizorowski. They beat him, the Mets did, and they got the grand slam from Ninmo, who was playing instead of Lindor in the leadoff spot because the manager is brilliant.
I did. It was a main topic at the dinner table last night.
Jeremy, 3,000 strikeouts. He's joining us live from Marlins Park. 3,000 strikeouts. Does it still mean anything? We've got Pitch Clock later in the show. We're going to be obsessed with baseball in the last hour. We've got Jerry Bruckheimer, the director of the F1 movie. And
Nice.
What else has he made, Billy?
Producer of the F1 movie. He
Producer,
didn't direct
excuse me.
Yeah, he's attached to everything. Pirates of the Caribbean, Top Gun, Maverick, Bad Boys, National Treasure, Black Hawk Down, Days of Thunder, Kangaroo Jack, Crimson Tide, a little
Why
bit
is
of
Pirates of the
everything.
Caribbean the first one you mentioned?
Why is Kangaroo Jack in there?
One that you mentioned at all.
Big
What do you
moneymaker, Pirates. Huge moneymaker.
Yeah, Pirates was
You
massive.
don't like Pirates? Oh, you hate Disney. I forgot.
Pirates was massive.
How do you pronounce it? Caribbean or Caribbean?
When it's Royal Caribbean. When it's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pronounce it the correct way, Caribbean.
That is actually accurate.
Checks out.
For some reason, Billy put it in such great perspective.
He really did. He did it very well. So Jeremy is out at Marlins Park. You can see all of the pageantry, everybody getting ready for July 4th at a sold-out Marlins Park where an umpire with bad reflexes ruined baseball last night.
Garbage reflex.
How bad was it, Jeremy, in the Marlins clubhouse? Were they mad at the umpire?
They weren't necessarily mad at the umpire. They were frustrated. You know, it's one of those things. Kyle Stowers hit the ball 111 miles an hour off the bat. It was one of the hardest hit balls of the game. And so, you know, the umpire did his best to get it out of the way. Unfortunately, his reflexes were very slow. And it just clipped off the back of his heel, but there's no room for interpretation on the rule. It's a dead ball, and they're going to need to call Michael Hill, former GM of the Marlins, who's now part of the rules committee, to see if they can change that rule and make it an interpretation type of rule.
I want my judges to be arbiters. I want them to use judgment. I don't want my rules to be absolute. That was clearly, at the very least, something that was going to allow Sanchez to get to third base. It doesn't make sense to have a rule so absolute that you have arbiters who don't arbitrate.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and I think the Marlins were feeling the same way. We spoke with the crew chief of the umpiring crew after the game,
What did he say?
and he said rule is cut and dry. Like, the way that this works is that ultimately, if a ball hits the umpire in the infield, not only is it a dead ball, but unless the runners are being forced to go to the next base, so say, for example, there were runners on first and second, and Jesus Sanchez would have been forced to third. But if not, they have to go back to the base in which they came, and he said that Clayton McCullough came out and said, well, that's kind of a crappy play. And he said, I agree. And that was basically the extent of the conversation because there's nothing else that they can do. He did say, like, if the media wants to, if the teams want to, having conversations with the commissioner's office about changing that rule is something that umpires would be open to. But at the same time, it opens a can of worms when you're looking at interpretation like that, because what if the ball had deflected to the second baseman? Or, for example, what if the second baseman was shifted more toward the middle and had it not hit the umpire, maybe there would have been a double play. So it's kind of a complicated, slippery slope. Unfortunately, the Marlins were on the back end of a play that the crew chief said he hadn't seen in like 15 years.
I think, well, yeah, because it was garbage reflexes. I think that the Marlins should protest, if only because one of my favorite things in all of baseball is when a protest is launched and then the umpire has to turn to the stat guy and he has to signal P for a protest.
The way that you would write it on a steamed up shower if you were trying to leave the P on the door. It's one of the most put it on the poll. What's more primitive? Using chain links to measure where the football should go, something that they're eradicating, or the umpire pantomiming a P to tell the official scorer in the press box that the game is under protest. When you say that you talk to the crew chief, have they changed the way they do this in baseball? When I covered baseball, only one reporter was allowed to talk to the crew chief. So it's not a we. You didn't talk to the crew chief. There's no we here. Somebody was sent and you took their quotes, correct?
That's exactly right. Danny Alvarez of El Extrabase went and spoke.
Okay, so
on
there's
our
no
behalf,
we. There's
on
no.
the media's
Yeah.
behalf.
You tried to claim that.
You said you talked to the crew chief. It's why I thought you were there at 9:45 in the morning talking to the crew chief. You didn't talk to the crew chief. There was no talking to the crew chief by a group. There was no we. There was an I. There was one I. Like Uncle Mike.
There's no I in we.
Jeremy, you're on the scene right now. We don't get access like this a lot. I need you to go out into the field, show us where the umpire was, really walk us through what happened.
He's not going to be
the
allowed.
groundskeepers would love that.
Do it.
The grounds crew's going to let me do it.
Come on.
Oh, come on.
Act like you own the place.
Here. Let's see this. Do you see right now where that man with the rake is far from me?
No, get closer.
Standing right.
Get out there.
No,
right
I
over
can't.
there.
No,
I don't see it.
Get me closer.
I'd like
No.
to
Through the
chase you
dirt.
off the
I don't
field.
see
Guys,
it.
I am not. This is not going to happen.
Hop over the
Already
line.
look, I'm
Just
already
get
getting
in the
looked
infield,
at.
hop
It's
over
right
the
there.
line.
I'm not going to get fired. I've done 17 games.
Don't
on Miami
walk
Marlins
through the
broadcast.
field. Hop
I'm not
over the
ending today.
You're not going to get
Jeremy.
fired by whom?
Enough, Jeremy. He should be fired by, as a journalist, saying he talked to the crew chief when he didn't.
Liar.
There's lying to us. It was not. There was not a we that talked to the crew chief.
royal we.
You send one guy in.
Royal we.
By the way, those umpires' rooms, you can't describe it because there was no we there. They're so small, you can't get multiple people in there. Or they used to be so small. I don't know if they've expanded them. They've got the two
No, they're
clubhouses.
still that small.
They got two clubhouses, and then they've got a small bathroom area for all the umpires.
Jeremy,
The manager's spot as well is the same way. Like, you can fit the 8 or so chairs in there that you need for people to be able to ask the manager questions, but it's the size of like a broom closet, essentially.
if that would have hit the umpire and just fallen dead, it seems hard to believe they would have just awarded the runner first base. Like, they would have just been like, all right, you're on first?
If it killed the umpire?
No,
Yes.
if
Yeah,
it would
no,
have
yes,
hit
if
the
it
umpire
kills.
and
He
the ball
dies.
would have
That is
fallen
the
a dead
question.
ball.
He died.
Is it a base?
If he's dead.
All right, put it on the poll at Lebitard Show.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it.
No, you got it. You heard
No,
it right.
At Lebitard Show, you heard it correctly.
Who would ask that type
Put
of
it on the
question?
poll at Lebitard Show. Are you automatically awarded first base if you accidentally kill the umpire with a line drive off your bat? Because I think you are.
Well, tell Danny to ask.
I do think that, yeah, technically that would be the case. It would be a dead ball, it would be a dead umpire, and it would be single.
All right, see you later, Jeremy. Thank you. That's good analysis from you.
Did you guys know that the Kansas City Royals are not named after royalty, but rather a big livestock show?
I had no idea.
Yeah, in the 1890s, there was a big livestock show called the Royal Livestock, and they just adopted the crown because it made a hell of a lot more sense than a logo tied to livestock.
Do you guys think in 2025 calling an athlete as a name for his team or her team, the Athletics, is
I like that. I dig that.
so they were originally named because they were athletic.
Yeah. I mean, you see that a lot in soccer. Athletic club, any team that's at AC or Atletico Madrid. I dig that. We should
like
do
it.
more ACs.
The Marlins actually weren't humans before. It was Marlins. Yeah. And that's why they named them
We
that.
talked to the crew chief. He didn't talk to the
wild.
crew chief. He wasn't even near the crew chief. He's pretending to be near the crew chief. When Jerry Bruckheimer joins us, this is one of my favorite things here lately. Do you think he'll comment at all on Zaslow and his appearance, or are we just going to go? We're going to go all summer with people just coming on the show, getting a question from Zaslow, looking at Zaslow.
Like a shirt?
I mean, I was hoping that we'd go the entire summer without referencing.
Like,
I thought that was a plan.
Do you think he'll notice how confident I am? Is that what you're
I
saying?
mean, you're breaking Zaz's bet. When we made the bet initially, it was like you wear that you change it, and we don't reference it at all.
I'm not breaking the bet. I'm simply allowing for
confident.
a few more people who have been on the outside and may not have been listening the day that Zaz lost that bet to give them the opportunity at the funny that's available when a stranger appears and starts asking us questions about Zaz.
Well, I mean, do you think Jerry Bruckheimer was listening that day?
It's safe to say he probably was not.
Here, Zaz, I have a plan. When Bruckheimer does join us, why don't you tone the look down?
He's going to join us later in the show. I wanted to ask
living my life, man.
Billy something here about what David Sampson is doing on Nothing Personal. I don't know if you guys saw that he had Stan Van Gundy on, and the game he played with Stan Van Gundy, and it shows a very
What do you say?
it shows a very primitive form of creativity that doesn't quite rise to the level of genius that Billy and Stugotz have on God Bless Football and Stupidity. He played the game with Stan Van Gundy, Stan Van in, or Stan Van out.
Doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
I mean, can Samson just say he wants to be me already? Jeez Louise.
Stan Van in or Stan Van out doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know what he's doing with Stan Van Gundy. I mean, I understand the game, but I don't understand naming it Stan Van in or Stan Van out.
When did he start doing guests? I thought his whole thing was just listen to me.
got an extra hour.
2 hours.
Oh boy,
Yeah, it's
can't
harder.
carry.
I mean, what?
Stan Van in or Stan Van out is an objectively bad name, correct?
How did the game work? Like, what was something that he would be Stan Van in or Stan Van out of?
I think
I understand how the game works, but I don't understand how David would play this game.
It's
like Stan Van into this coffin.
Tacos.
I'm dead, or you go to my funeral.
Yeah, one of the great things about you is always asking questions that I can't answer. So
you brought it
like,
up.
what should the Heat do?
I was Stan Van out as soon as I saw the name. As soon as I saw the name of the thing, I didn't see where it is that they went after that.
We'll play that with. We're going to steal that next time he joins.
Yeah. Good.
Steal something from David?
No, just Stan Van In or Stan Van.
Without Stan.
Exactly right. Yeah,
without
that's just
Stan.
our game now. Stan Van In or Stan Van Out.
We're going to play Stan Van In or Stan Van Out.
Let's play it. Let's play it amongst each other. Let's play it with Zaz if you want.
I'm ready.
Something I wanted to ask you, Billy, because I was legitimately confused by it, and I wonder if you have a theory on it. I want to talk about Tony behind his back for a second.
I don't like doing that.
You don't mind talking behind his back or in front of his back. You are someone who is publicly a bit of a nemesis to Tony, and I want to ask you if you've noticed this week something that happened, because I couldn't help but notice it. When Tony originally joined us, something he did that I found curious, that was unlike anyone else in our environment, is he immediately put on Instagram him making a bunch of jumpers. And I'm like, wow, that's sort of the opposite of what we do around here. Normally what we'd show is a mean missing the jumpers. We're not the show that makes a bunch of jumpers. We're the show that misses a bunch of jumpers.
Did he say on the caption, like, hey, I got a new job?
No, he was just introducing himself to our audience with, look, I'm wet from the perimeter.
Okay.
He felt the need to do that. And one of the things that he did this week that I wanted to ask you guys about, because there's a note off on Tony that I recognized throughout Miami on just being hyper Latin. He comes back from Vegas and UFC where he was supposed to spar with someone and did not. And twice this week, he has threatened to fight people. On air, threatened to fight you and threatened to fight Kugler. And I'm like, what is that? Since when does anyone around here address any sort of problem by on air threatening to, hey, do you want to fight? This is the last stop on, I'm not going to win the argument, so I'm going to win by beating your face. Is that how we do things around here? And so I just was curious if you guys noticed that this is a direct result of returning from UFC in Vegas, where a whole bunch of that crowd is brainwashed into that's how we problem solve in 2025. We just beat your face in. Or get guns.
Oh, that's
that
a step further.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's hard to improvise. We're not expecting guns, but yes, that is what we do. Yeah.
When
all else fails, you fight. You threaten to fight.
I think maybe his cup is just filling up. You know, he's had it a little bit too much, and he's got to let it out some way or another. And he was supposed to fight that UFC fighter who allegedly then ducked him and ran away. Which, by the way, can I just say, yesterday I said, you know what? This is why I love Twitter. It's because a show fan directly tweeted at the guy and said, hey, Tony said you ran away from him. Is that true? And he tagged all of us. And then I went to see his account, and I saw, well, he doesn't have like the largest of followings, but also he's not the most active. So I think
Tony Burner?
I don't remember his name. Was that his name?
No, I'm asking. Could it have been Tony's burner?
No. I think Tony would not want this guy, because let's be real. Tony lied about the fact that the guy ran away ducking him. He's obviously not avoiding him. He had some sort of obligation or whatever that he had to go. But someone reached out to him directly to say, hey, this guy's calling you a scaredy cat. Is that the case? And I don't know if he's going to see it or not, but I feel like what we need to do is like whoever's verified, whatever, like maybe let's kind of get that out there. So in the name of journalism, we can get to the bottom of what really happened here. Once he sees the blue check marks, maybe it'll call attention to him, and then he'll see, oh, this guy said I was ducking him or not.
Is it true that the other day on one of Stugotz's properties, he had on Frank Isola, and they played
Iceman,
Isola or Asshola?
Now that's a game.
That's how you play.
Mm-hmm. Jealous.
I think that's true.
Do you guys want to play that? Do you guys want to play
with
Isola?
Stan Van Gundy?
Do you want to play Stan Van in or Stan Van out without Stan
with
Van Gundy?
Isola.
And play Isola or Asshola with Stan Van Gundy. If you guys want to do that, go ahead and set that up.
You should get the Iceman to play the Stan game.
Isola or Asshola.
So do you think that Tony should be threatening to fight people?
I just think it's weird.
Yeah, I think he's getting mad.
I think it's a lot of creatine that's flowing through his veins.
Really?
Yeah,
Is
he's
that
looking
what it
good.
is?
Like if you saw that video, you can see he's a bigger guy, and I think he's also younger, shorter fuse, and he's all hopped up on performance enhancers.
Tony threatening to fight people. Isola or Asshole?
I will say this: once this gets back to him, he's not going to be happy. If you think he's going to come in on Monday or Tuesday or whatever day in a better mood, I don't think that's going to be
Well,
the
but it's
case.
not about his mood. His mood's always good. He's got one of the best attitudes around here.
No, people who no.
What do you
people,
mean, no?
I mean, when you're threatening to fight people, you don't have the best attitude around here. That's clearly the opposite.
I would say that Tony is one of the few people over the last 4 years that I've gone out of my way to thank for his general attitude around everything here. But on air this week, he's threatened to fight two people. Two people.
He's pretty good at not crossing the boss too.
But
he's a kiss ass.
Yeah, but behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, the stuff he says
a victim.
about you.
He's a victim.
Oh, sorry, Michael's on.
Kugler and you, though, choosing you two to fight when you two.
That's a classic bully thing. He thinks that he can beat up the nerds. That's fine.
I saw Tony
matchmaking like Jake Paul.
Never heard of Revenge of the Nerds.
I saw Tony.
I don't know how that movie works, but I assume the nerds win at the end and the bullies lose.
The nerds actually all die.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the umpire.
Yeah, hit by a ball.
I saw Tony went on a podcast, and like the headline was, on this podcast, we broke down how 10-Day Tony went from a throwaway joke to a whole identity.
No. To a brand, I think is the way
From that
was
moment,
phrased.
a nickname became a character, and a character became a brand.
Yeah, it's a note off.
He has an agent now.
Why are you laughing?
That's a pretentious sentence.
I mean, it feels.
He didn't
like
write it. This is the podcast putting it out, so I'm not
feels like a
blaming Tony.
Nike commercial.
That-
It's,
it was
it's
just-
well
that's
written. It's well
Fall
branded.
7 times, get up 8.
It's well branded. Mike Ryan mentioned Jake Paul, who is now ranked. He's ranked 14th. He's beaten no one, and he's ranked 14th. And he will probably get a title fight based on nothing more than it will draw dollars.
The WBA has ranked him 14th in the cruiserweight division. If you're ranked even as low as 14, you are able to schedule a title fight and for it to be ordained by the WBA. And that's probably got to be the next evolution here.
Is that what's next up? That he's going to get a shot?
Because if he actually tries to climb the ladder on the rankings, he's going to get his ass kicked. And I think he needs to go straight to the top of the mountain. The WBA has opened that portal, and I really think that's the only thing that's left for this. Jake Paul, what has it been, 8 years of this? Of him doing this thing? It's a good run.
You say you'd be right in saying that Jake Paul, his ascent, is one of the most unusual stories in boxing. But to me, almost as surprising as the entirety of that story is that it didn't get derailed when he lost.
It's weird, right? It's weird. He lost to a guy that was probably the toughest test in terms of age and boxing acumen. He lost, and then he just kept being successful. I don't know if it's as successful. Certainly with the Mike Tyson thing, that was a huge bonanza.
Mike, that represents the greatest of the successes. Fighting live on Netflix against Tyson represents him arriving at the greatest of his successes after losing a fight.
People have to be reminded that he lost that fight. That was one of the rare fights that was just on ESPN Plus. They sweep that one under the rug.
Tommy Fury is how good? How good?
I got no idea how good any of these celebrity types or boxing adjacent anybody that fights Jake Paul is. I really don't. I have no way of knowing. They don't really have other people to fight against. The guy that he just beat lost to Anderson Silva a couple of fights ago. Not in an MMA fight, in a boxing fight. And Anderson Silva is hella old. So I thought the conversation that we were having when we were on ESPN, that is, if Jake Paul loses, man, this whole thing is done, so he needs to choose wisely. He lost, and then he just went right back to the old parlor tricks
He's ranked.
I don't know how this continues to work.
All right, but the part that you're surprised about is that people are still interested, right? Like, that's what you're surprised about.
Not that people are still interested.
Because what else is there to be surprised about?
That the whole thing continues to ride along as if he's a great boxer. Because
it's just money. That's all it is.
No, but if you're ranked 14th in the world, you've been legitimized by those rankings more than you have been by anything you've done in your career so far in boxing. Those rankings, no matter what you think of boxing, making him someone who is in a weight class, one of the top 15 fighters in the world, brings him to a space he does not merit. It's all attention-based. It's all based on dollars he will bring in. It's all marketing. He absolutely does not merit being one of the top 15 fighters in his weight class. He's only there because of the amount of fame his name has.
I'm just happy for an evolution on this, because now the talking point when it comes to Jake Paul, I mean, he had the sideshow attraction with Mike Tyson, which largely the concern was, is Mike Tyson going to die? Because, hell, Mike Tyson almost died in training for that fight. Now the talking point for Jake Paul is, this is kind of getting old, right? No one's really watching these fights anymore.
Is it though, Mike? I don't know. Mike, I don't think you can say that, Mike.
I don't know who. Like, they had the Club World Cup's going on with the Zone, so maybe more eyes got to this fight. He has his legion of fans. I get that, but I don't see the growth model with getting the layman, the casual sports fan that's like, I'm not going to fall for this. If you're going to get me to fall for this, dig up Evander Holyfield or something like that. I think the next logical step in this tale is for him to finally get a title fight, and that'll be big. And that'll be a worthy hype train. He gets a title fight, and then he'll promptly get his ass kicked.
I'm with Mike. I watched the Tyson one. Didn't have any interest in the last one. It would have to be – I'll check it out. I'm interested in it and following it, but tuning into the fight, it's got to be another big
but
name.
You guys have this wrong, though. You have it wrong on a couple of fronts. One, when Mike says nobody's watching, you can't have Netflix Live Tyson that recently and tell me nobody's watching.
Yeah, we all watch that one.
Okay, but the other thing that I think that you have wrong is –
but did you watch any of the other fights leading up to that? No, you the one that stuck out was the one with Tyson, and there was a morbid curiosity.
I didn't even know the last one was happening.
He's had like 6 since he's lost, and I don't know how many of them have even garnered national attention.
This is the part that you have wrong, though, okay? You just skipped merrily past when you said he's got his legion of fans. He can get people outside of that. That's fine. But I
can't name another cruiserweight.
We are in the age. Go ahead and read that 10-day Tony pod description again. We are in the age of brand management, marketing, and it's not merit-based. It's, do you have your own legion of fans, and can we stack on top of that? This is happening throughout the content industry. If you have a legion of fans in boxing, you're a spectacle. If you have such a thing. And this is how it is that he has climbed. And the fact that he's been legitimized by a top 15 ranking is insulting to any rankings that have ever been put forth in this sport.
I'm happy he exists because I like how he goes at Dana White. I like how he touts fair pay for fighters. I like what he does with some of the cards, especially when it comes to women's boxing and women's combat sports. I dig it. I think it is a spectacle, but I'm bored of it. I acknowledge the spectacle that it is. I will also tell you I've seen 3 of his fights and only one recently, and that's because I wanted to see if Mike Tyson was going to die in the ring or not.
I understand that you and Chris were bored, but you guys do understand a bit here that you've aged out. And so is Jake Paul. So is Jake Paul on where youth influence is. He also has been around long enough that he's aged out some with young people. But you do realize that as dads, you're not the demo.
No.
But young people's not boxing's demo.
Yeah, I think as dads we are supposed to
I think I'm like
boxing's
firmly
an old
in the
person
demo.
sport at this point.
You think Stugotz's daughters watched him fight Chavez Jr.?
I don't think so.
I'm saying that the demo that Jake Paul is bringing is a younger, different than boxing demo.
No doubt.
And that's why he's ranked number 14.
No doubt. But we're a sports show, and we've referenced a spectacle, and I'm running out of ways to talk about this guy. I'm grateful for this new evolution in it, for him to be ranked. And also part of me is hoping that, all right, can we be about done with that? Because I feel like we've done this for a long time.
So what's the play if you're Jake Paul, though? I don't think
you got to go to the top.
No, I don't think you fight one time, though. You think because you think you risk it all. It's an all or nothing bet. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to get exposed right now by fighting the best in one fight for one last punctuation spectacle.
Here's what I'm saying. I don't think he's ever going to have another opportunity to fight for a title, picking the fights that he did. Maybe he can keep climbing the rankings.
Yes,
fighting tomato cans that lose to Anderson Silva.
He can.
But if he wants to actually. Like at that point, I know it's boxing and he's already ranked, but this is a joke. If he's not actually good at, if he's not actually going to go through any other ranked boxers and just keep climbing because
then you got to fight number one.
You got to go straight to
No,
number
but why
one.
would he do that? In boxing throughout history, what you do is you line up your guy who can't fight against tomato cans to continue to make the money. Stay ranked and don't ever get exposed. Just keep doing pay-per-view spectacles because all you are is a spectacle. You don't actually have to finally test it until you're done with the money train, until it's your last bet.
I actually think I can make an argument that no matter what happens, even if he gets his ass kicked in a title fight, the hype for him actually getting a legit title fight with the merit of actually being ranked will be an infusion into his brand, into the mainstream again of people that follow boxing. He loses that fight, gets his ass kicked by whoever the champion is. He can go right back, as he's already shown with the Tommy Fury loss, that he can go right back to fighting people that are related to more famous boxers.
I know you say you're getting tired of talking about it. What division is he again? Is it cruiserweight?
Cruiserweight.
Yeah, like what other cruiserweights in the top 15 are you?
We're not talking about any of them.
Right.
What
so
other
that's
boxers
the point,
are you
right?
talking about?
Yeah.
So I know you're tired of talking about Jake Paul. You're not talking about any of them.
Well, how can I break down a fight of like, all right, he's facing, Julio Cesar Chavez's grandson. I don't know. I'm not going to watch a fight. It's not doing anything for me. Mike
I think
Tyson,
it's more
okay,
about you
cool,
not being
we'll
a
do
huge
it.
boxing guy.
No, I like boxing fights. I like if you have a super heavyweight clash or if I pay attention to boxing Twitter, which I do, and they say, hey, this is a good fight, I watch boxing. If it's on, I like watching boxing. There hasn't been like big fights to get people excited for, but I grew up in a generation where you'd go to a house party.
Yes, me too.
There were great boxers in that era,
Yes.
and you would watch the fight. And
That
we are
time is long ago.
Long ago.
According to Tech Radar, 250,000 buys DAZN got for this recent Paul Chavez Jr. fight.
That feels unbelievable. 250,000, 250,000 people bought that Jake Paul fight.
Who else is on
DAZN.
that card? Like, it could have been.
No one else is on that card. No one else is being advertised. And they had obviously an undercard, but no one was being talked about there. Is that all Club World Cup? That just feels.
According to Tech Radar, they don't actually release the buys, but that's.
Wait.
Okay, but Legion of Fans.
Wait,
again,
they don't release the
look,
buys.
you're
They
not-
just made up the number.
Yes, they just
Tech
say the
Radar.
number. Yes.
A lot of
reports on
people do make up ratings these days. The ratings are less trustable than they have been in a long time in general, but you cannot say that Jake Paul does not have a legion of fans. Like
I don't think anyone said that. I said clearly he has his legion
But there
of
they
fans.
are right there, though, is what I'm saying. Anytime you can pop up on a pay-per-view,
I will eat a hat if 250,000 people bought that on DAZN. I will straight up eat a hat. Because where they're getting that number is straight from DAZN, and I don't believe it.
Well, go ahead and reach out to Skipper. He used to run DAZN, so go ahead and reach out.
And you know what
to him.
DAZN's going to say? 250,000 people are going to be like, okay, let me eat that hat.
Reach out to Skipper. He doesn't work for DAZN anymore. Maybe he will give
I
you
do
the
believe I stand by that report.
They're not. That number's all internal. They're not going to release the actual number. All right. I don't. How did 250,000 people buy this fight individually and no one we know actually watched?
It costs $59.99.
I don't even know anyone in the YouTube chat that says, yeah,
I'll be honest, I don't know anyone that ordered it.
Okay, but you guys are dads.
I love who
I
you
work
have
in
ordering.
sports.
Chris is
I'm
a Jake Paul
bro-
demographic.
No,
man.
I think I would consider myself as somebody who has followed and been interested in this
Yes.
Jake Paul rise.
You are the prototypical Jake Paul
Thank you.
mark for buying this.
Don't young people have to ask their dad to buy it?
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Jake Paul's demo, 20 to 30 or 30 to 40 at Le Batard Show.
What are we arguing? That his fans are younger?
What I'm arguing is that Chris and Mike are bad people to be speaking on behalf of this because they're not actually the demo that would buy that pay-per-view.
Chat, if you bought it, let us know, please. Let us know if you bought this. I'm going to try to do a straw sample here.
Okay, again, though, I would say that it skews younger. Jake Paul is an influencer, or used to be an influencer. He was more popular before. He's lost some of that. But over the last 8 years, I would say that people who are Jake Paul fans are largely Jake Paul's age. I would say that after 40, a whole lot of people don't know anything about Jake Paul. Anything at all about Jake Paul because he's an internet phenomenon. He's not a phenomenon. He's a new kind of phenomenon. I shouldn't even say it's that new anymore. But
I don't know how I feel about you calling us old.
I'm out of it too. I'm out of the demo too. This isn't my demo. I've objected to this on the grounds that boxing is great and he isn't. Like, I'm offended that this is allowed to happen, even having seen it happen a bunch of times in boxing with just the big white guy. who gets just thrown out there, and then all of a sudden he's a draw because somebody wants to see either the allowed racism of Mexicans against black people or white people against black people that we can celebrate as part of boxing and wrestling and some of the nonsense that we still hold on to.
Returns are still early in our straw poll here in the comments section. Not a single yes, I ordered this fight. But we have an older audience.
In fairness, someone did say they stole the fight. So that person saw it, but no one has ordered
That's
it.
why those random numbers show up, by the way, if you watch stuff on DAZN.
Illegally streamed it.
I'm actually not sure that our audience would be the demo for Jake Paul in any way, given that you just gave praise for Jake Paul being progressive in some of the boxing stuff he did, but Jake Paul's past is littered with a bunch of stuff that's the opposite of that.
Dan, respectfully, we're sports fans that buy premium live events for big-time sporting events. We are the people he should be appealing to.
Okay, Mike, respectfully, Jake Paul.
Oh, I don't believe this is going to be respectfully. When you counter back respectfully,
This is
no, that's not.
I don't
That's
believe
not
your-
respectfully.
I don't believe your
respectfully. Like
was
you seem to know everything about our
I
audience.
don't believe you were
We're the people that buy
respectful.
this stuff.
How many Jake Paul fights have you bought?
I saw the Netflix one, and I saw the ones on Triller, and I saw the ESPN Plus one at a bar when he lost to Tommy Fury. So I think in all, probably in the neighborhood of 4. He's had close to a dozen of these. I'm not falling for it because it's not good or interesting to me. There have been a handful of times where it has been, and it's either a circus, part of a larger card. With the Triller stuff that was happening around the pandemic was hilarious, or I think he's actually going to lose. I would like to see him fight and go through the promotion for a big-time title fight, and I actually think he'll come out a winner no matter what there, because it is a winning story. It is basically a YouTuber Rocky type of story. I think his celebrity will grow, and I think it'll give an infusion to him doing this sideshow attraction shit that he does on the side after he promptly gets his ass kicked.
Zaslow, I haven't noticed yet. You have either concealed it very well or you're somebody who is an expert in all things. But I have not yet seen where some of your sports weaknesses are in the doing of this show. Are you a baseball person? Like, do you care at all whether Clayton Kershaw got to 3,000 strikeouts last night? The big story of sports last night was celebrating this number that I don't think means anything to anybody anymore except for Clayton Kershaw
and Tim Kirkjian
and the most diehard of baseball people. But 3,000 strikeouts, does it mean anything to you, to Billy? I would ask Jeremy here, but he's too busy lying about not talking to crew chiefs.
The strikeouts thing doesn't mean as much to me now.
Stan Van Gundy out.
Yeah, I'm Van out. I'm Stan Van out. It doesn't mean as much to me because now, with the way the game's played, it's all home runs and strikeouts. There isn't a whole lot of in between. So, I think we got to look at it within that context. Kershaw getting to 3,000.
Are you guys surprised at all that Randy Johnson has about 2,000 more strikeouts than Clayton Kershaw? Clayton Kershaw
I feel like Nolan Ryan had 2,000 a season.
Pitching for so
Let me
long.
look that up.
It's
yeah,
right.
It's true.
Right. Yeah.
The Dodgers haven't been that good this year, and yet they're 9 games up or 8.5 games up on the Padres. No, they haven't been though. Their over/under is 104.5 wins on the season. They haven't actually been as good as they should be, but they're 8.5 games up on the Padres. You're so right about this becoming an all or nothing thing, though. The skill level, and it's not just, I will say the skill level is not just all strikeouts and home runs. Every single day I'm watching an outfielder climb the fence to steal a home run. And I'm like, how is this? How's the defense up the middle so good for the Cubs? Where I just can't believe that every time I'm watching a baseball highlight, I'm seeing a center fielder climb the fence. Yesterday, I saw somebody do it, and their glove wasn't even in the right place. Like, it should have been stretched out here, and then he's like on the fence. He's like, here. And he catches it over near his elbow in a way that I'm like, how the hell are these guys this athletic?
I want him to catch it with his bare hand, like the guy in Major League.
Kevin Mitchell did that in a game.
It's awesome.
He did?
I
gotta see this.
Oh, Mike, hold on a second.
How did I not know this? Because that's like my era.
Guys, go ahead and get the video, please. I want to watch this together. Mike, don't look it up on your phone. I want to watch this together here, and I want people to find Kevin Mitchell. Do you know the play I'm talking about?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I know Kevin Mitchell.
I have said before that Jose Canseco is the greatest play in baseball history. The ball bouncing off of his head and going for a home run. Mike, did you cheat and you looked at it?
Look, I know you said they got to find it, but I'm just trying to put it in the video dump so they can find it quickly. I have not seen the video. I just seen a still, and the still is incredible.
No, the still is incredible. The video's even better. I don't know how he did it.
We might only be able to put the still up.
All right, we're going to look at it next. But honestly, just for punctuation here, respectfully, Mike, fuck you.
Mystery crate.
Our most contentious ever, I would say.
I don't know why. Vibes are off.
Yeah.
Contentious.
I'm telling you, it's been a weird week around these parts
Weird
for some
week.
reason.
Maybe you think it's because of the holiday?
I don't know, and I don't know if next week's going to be any better.
Yeah. Wow.
Uh-oh.
Way to get
What
this
do you mean?
going.
I just don't know. I don't know if you can't solve a problem
was
if
a
you
good
can't
June.
identify the root of said problem. You know?
That's 100% true, Billy.
Yeah.
Do you think we're just looking forward to the
And-
weekend?
I think the root of our problems is that Billy isn't a Lowe's influencer, and we'll talk about
Yes.
why this week on Mystery Crate.
That's a good point.
Our love for Scrub Daddy products.
It's a new low.
Wow.
I don't know.
Chair
Mike
Bear.
is big back on Marvel.
Big
by the
back
way.
on Marvel.
Big
wow.
back on Marvel.
Big back
but only on the
Marvel.
old stuff.
Yeah.
The new stuff.
Well, the new stuff hasn't come out yet. But
Spoiler
Angela
alert.
Bassett, man, killed it in Wakanda Forever.
Yeah,
I
and
gotta say.
and
Did the thing.
She did.
Mike drinks milk with ice.
Yeah.
And Jess talks about adult toys.
And
Yeah,
how to
she
make
does.
jam. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna.
And wife swapping.
And a whole bunch of meat.
What?
Yeah.
And way too much Disney yet again.
It's July, which means it is the month of the trade deadline in Major League Baseball. There is a lot that is set to happen over the course of this month, and we're previewing it with Adnan Virk, who is back joining us for the 5th time this season on the Pitch Clock, more than any other guest, and that's because he speaks so fast that he can give you so much information in so little time, and that's exactly what we need on the Pitch Clock. So we're covering some of the teams that he changed his opinion on in the month of June. We're covering one of the hottest teams in baseball, the Miami Marlins. We're covering some players who have had spectacular months, and of course, we're talking about the trade deadline. We also have, of course, another game of trivia between myself and Chris Cody. We'll see how that one goes. Taylor's back. He's always testing us. You guys will tune in. And hey, if you're listening to this, keep sending me messages on Twitter and Instagram and Blue Sky with the results of your trivia. It is so cool to see you guys playing along. So be sure to send us along all of those results. But hey, Pitch Clock, Thursdays on the Batard Show. You can get it Friday on the Batard Show YouTube page on our YouTube playlist. So be sure to check that out. And enjoy this week's episode of The Pitch Clock.
DraftKings, Cuervo, and myself. We're going to be teaming up for the Ultimate Street Race Party at Joy District, 112 West Hubbard Street, this Saturday, July 5th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Come through for drinks, racing vibes, and giveaways. I am sad to report that this may seem to be the final Chicago street race. NASCAR has done a really good job getting people excited for a traditional return back to Chicagoland Motor Speedway, your traditional mile-and-a-half oval. That's getting people excited. But I love the festive atmosphere. It doesn't actually feel like a NASCAR race. It feels like part music festival, part NASCAR race over there. So if this is the last hurrah in beautiful downtown Chicago with an incredible skyline, I will be there rocking it with NASCAR, DraftKings, and Cuervo.
Chicago during the summer is lovely. Didn't you get married, or didn't you get proposed in Chicago?
Yeah, Trump Tower. Didn't see that one coming.
I believe that as part of our 4th of July celebration, best of, we're off tomorrow. I believe we're playing all our Trump interviews to celebrate America.
Hosted by Jeremy.
Gosh, I remember that. I remember when you guys used to have him on the local show.
Yeah. That was Pablo Torre Finds Out's first show, was him re-airing some of our Trump interviews in a way that embarrassed me.
He loved us. He really did. He said we had the best show in America.
I listen a lot.
I listen a lot. Listen, you guys do a great job.
He was a great radio guest back in the day. He was.
Jerry Bruckheimer is going to join us here in a second. He's the biggest Hollywood producer, correct?
Yes.
He's the biggest.
Spielberg?
Harvey Weinstein?
F1 is the #1 movie in America. I did see it. It's giant. It's just big. It's not surprising that it would be big if it's Jerry Bruckheimer and F1, but it just looks expensive.
Is it realistic?
Yeah, I mean, it looks expensive. It's obviously realistic. They had the cooperation of F1.
My movies have to be realistic.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about with you guys, we will have all the baseball you want in hour 2 or all the baseball you don't want in hour 2 when we do Pitch Clock and Jason Benetti in the second hour. We're also going to open up the club for the weekend. But before I go any further, I should say that perhaps the greatest catch in Major League history was absolutely the result of a clumsy Kevin Mitchell, who should have been playing left field with a chainsaw instead of a glove. Like, he was a terrible outfielder. And what happens here, though, defies all reason and physics, where if I say to you, do you believe that you could catch a fly ball with your bare hand? Yes or no? Now, he should have put up his glove and caught the ball if he were somebody who was a good defensive outfielder. But instead, he didn't put up his glove.
He totally misplaced
backhanded. No, but he caught the ball with his bare hand. And I just don't think that any of us could catch a fly ball with our bare hand. Do you think if I put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, if I gave you 100 chances to catch a fly ball, could you catch one with your bare hand?
I'm sad to report. Proud to report. I'd do that more often than not.
I'm going yes, 100 times.
Yes. I'm really good at catching things with one hand. Yeah. I went to the Miami Open. Coco Gauff saw my daughter hit a tennis ball right to her. I had a champagne flute in one hand, full extension, cash. Everybody around me oohed and awed. I'm like, I do this routinely.
You got to go much shorter than 100 times. Like, if I give you 2 times.
Everyone oohed and awed.
No.
Everyone did. I am like
low-key. Did they hem and haw also?
Low-key elite at catching things with one hand.
Guys, this wasn't even a fly ball. It was more like a line drive.
No, this looks lazy. It was in foul territory, too, so not a risk reward.
It's deep. Like, this is not this is a long, this is by the
I just like that he got to a point where it's like, yeah, this isn't even worth me trying with the glove anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm just going straight for the bare hand. That's how bad I've overplayed.
Give me 100 chances at that, I'd say 85. I pulled down. 85. I pulled down. 85. Get a jugs machine or something like that, because I think what we're going to be concerned about is your ability to hit it consistently to this spot. But if it's in that spot and I'm tracking it the same way Mitchell is,
from that distance,
easy.
Like if I'm 10 feet away, I think you could catch a bunch of baseballs.
I'm more likely to catch that with my bare hand than I am with a glove.
Kevin Mitchell is 300 feet. He's 100 yards. He's a football field away from where that ball was hit.
Again, he totally misread that.
Yeah. Agreed. It was a clumsy, poorly played ball, but also the greatest catch in Major League history.
And warning track. I feel like if I was out there trying to catch a fly ball, even just with my glove.
The change in terrain is tricky.
Yeah, the warning track, I'd be so scared. Yeah. Like, once I start to feel the warning track under me, I'm, oh my God, I'm going to run to the wall.
Appropriately named.
Greatest catch ever is Gary Matthews Jr.
Do you think they had other names for the warning track? They're like, what do we call this thing?
It's a great name. You're absolutely right. I had never considered before now 2 things that have come up in the show, which is, think about the time period when baseball's people got together and said, you know how the umpire needs to tell the official scorer that the game's under protest?
What did he mean?
Just do a pantomime P with
protest.
with your
I don't
hand.
know what you're saying. Protest. Protest. Okay, thank you.
It's one of my favorite things in all of sports.
Even Coco Gauff gave me a little salute after I pulled that thing down.
Is that so?
85 out of 100, huh?
85 out of 100, I swear to God. I'm really good at that.
One of the more impressive things I've seen Boog Shambi do is catch a screaming fly ball with his bare hand, but it's also because he has something that's an oven mitt for a right hand. It's a much larger hand than the normal human hand, which is what feels like what Kevin Mitchell has.
Brother, I got massive hands. Yeah.
You're stretching out those hands right now.
Well, that's part of it. Remember that we did the Johnny Bench challenge, right? We did this on the show back in the Clevelander days, and they said only Johnny Bench could have like 7 baseballs in their hand. I matched it. Johnny Bench even commented saying my form or something wasn't the exact same, but he was lying.
Go ahead and get, please, the video of Johnny Bench holding, I believe it was 7 baseballs in a hand. I also am tempted to send you out to Jeremy right now to see if we could get you to test this. I don't believe you'd catch a 1. I also think another thing that I would like to do
Jeremy couldn't even get on the field.
As a show, one of the things that I would like to do is one day try to see if any of us could catch a punt, because I believe we would all drop a punt. I think it's much harder than we think it is.
100 chances?
Well, I think you got a better chance of catching
85.
a punt. Put it on the poll at Batard Show. Which do you have better odds on, catching an NFL punt or catching a fly ball with your hands?
I'm telling you, 100 times is too many. You got to say like out of 2 times.
I got what you're doing with the math. I'm saying that after 2 times we will have 2 drops and we will have to have more chances, because I think you guys are underestimating how hard it would be to catch with your bare hand. He's running. It's not even just a pop-up or a fly ball. He's in full sprint. Like, it's not even. You guys are making it, I guess I'm making it sound like you're just stationing yourself under a fly, positioning yourself under a fly ball.
No, he just said catch a pop-up
Like, if I
barehanded.
throw- if I
not
toss-
on the run,
Not a
300
pop-up.
feet,
This was
warning
kind
track,
of
major league player.
lazy fly foul ball.
In 1972.
And what was the score in the game?
1972.
Like, was there any pressure in that
Full
moment?
moon out.
No pressure, but it wasn't 1972. Kevin Mitchell played in the 90s. Played in the late 80s as
I'm going to
well.
find you the photo. We put up the Johnny Bench thing. I replicated this too. So I'm going to find this. I'm like a dog with a bone.
He did question your form on this because you didn't hold the 7 baseballs as well as Johnny Bench did. Can we put up on the screen, please, some Carmelo Anthony tweets, his reaction to Damian Lillard being waived by the Bucks? Carmelo Anthony with 3 exclamation points and all capital letters says no loyalty in sports. That's got 100,302 likes. We've got business per usual. We got an SMH as well. Carmelo Anthony from over a couple of minutes was really upset about Damian Lillard being waived and no loyalty in sports.
It's one of the dumbest takes I've seen in a long time from an athlete. It really is. I mean, no loyalty in sports. Damian Lillard, if the Bucks would have sat down Damian Lillard before this transaction and said, Damian, if you could have anything you want right now from us as your employer, okay? If you could have anything you want, what would it be? Would his answer not be, give me all of my money and allow me to do whatever I want? No loyalty. What is Carmelo talking about?
Do you think that Damian Lillard texts Carmelo, hey, I'm good. This is good. I'm happy about this.
I don't understand. No loyalty in sports. I'm going to tell you something. The Bucks, with the way they treated Damian Lillard, they're the most loyal employer in the history of sports. Here's all of your money. Do whatever you want.
Well, I believe what Carmelo is doing, as we often do, as many of us do, no one more than Greg Cody, is he's looking at this through his own prism on where loyalty fell apart for him or where he would have liked to have possibly been with one team his entire career. So he might not be actually saying that of the Bucks. He may be delivering that to the idea that Lillard's career is ending this way, where he doesn't get to, continue to allow to blossom the relationship that Luka had with Dallas or that he had with Portland.
Well, I feel like he's a little bit late to that party then. I mean, Lillard was traded 2 years ago and, of his own wanting. It's ridiculous to me.
Mike, this is not the photo I am seeing of you holding 7 baseballs. You're holding them differently than you're holding them like you would hold sort of a pizza dough when you're making it. You're sort of using gravity and physics to allow the balls to lean against your wrist and whatnot, as opposed to Johnny Bench, who was just holding the 7 balls and could turn it upside down and be still holding the 7 balls in his hand.
It feels like a semantics argument, but I think you're giving voice to what Johnny Bench himself said, that I have to hold it up, and I'm just genuinely confused by it because there I am, clear as day, holding it up.
I would say you're holding it sideways. He's essentially holding it facing down, like palming a basketball.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. I couldn't do what you're doing here.
Hey, Johnny, I did this live on television. Wow. All right? I did this live in front of people. I have a still image from God knows when, and I'm supposed to just take your word for it. How do I know those balls didn't just fall right out of your hand? Johnny Bench, you're the liar. You can't do what I did.
Wow. Didn't expect that.
All right, since we're calling people liars, anyone want to go after Bronny?
Oh, I'm not going to call him a liar, all right? That's not nice. But I'm going to straight up tell you, he's not telling the truth.
What do you say?
Let's play the sound for Zaslow and let's get him agitated by just playing the Bronny sound.
When you've talked about team stuff with them, this is a weird thing, right? Your teammates, in addition to that, when you guys have talked about the direction of the franchise and stuff like that, have you gotten the sense that this is where he wants to be?
No, we don't really talk about much, but I think when stuff like that does come up, he just tells me to not worry about it, not even pay attention to it, just lock into what you have going on right now.
I'm going to Stan Van out. There is no way Bronny James, they're at home for dinner. It's the biggest story in sports right now. Is LeBron going to get traded from the Lakers? And Bronny's just sitting at the dinner table eating his Brussels sprouts? He doesn't say, yo, Dad, what's going on? Are you going to play for the Lakers? Oh, by the way, who am I going to play for next year? Am I going to be traded with you? What are we thinking as a family? No, I'm just going about my business. We don't really talk about that kind of stuff.
No, we don't really talk about much.
Okay.
You think he lives at home?
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Really?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, because he's an NBA player, I feel like he probably would want to go out on his own, have his own place.
Nah, I think he lives at home.
Like
you get meals, laundry. You don't have to pay rent. Yeah.
When he went to USC, did he live at home?
I don't know.
Because I wonder, like, is he like that he went away to college and now it's like, oh, I guess I have to move back into mom and dad's house.
You're not calling him a liar, though? Because it sounds like you're calling him a liar.
I'm not calling him a liar, but I will say definitely not telling the truth.
Well, wait a minute.
Has your child ever confronted you about work situations at the dinner table?
If it was the biggest story in sports media, probably would ask, would probably be curious. You know, Dad's a free agent. He's being courted by a bunch of different media entities for millions of dollars. Hey, might have to move. Might have to go live somewhere else. My son's friends ask him at school, hey, what's your dad going to do? I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff.
If LeBron leaves and Bronny is living at home, does he now have to find a new home? Like, do you think they sell the house and like, Bronny, now you're on your own? Or do you think they say like, okay, you can?
I don't
you
think
can live
Bronny's
at home?
living at home.
Well, Zaz says he is.
I know he is.
Stan Van in on that.
I know, but
free meals.
I'm Stan Van out on the idea
really?
that Bronny's living at home.
You don't think he's living at home?
I don't think so.
You think
no.
he goes down from like, the James Manor and he's like in a 1-1 on a rookie deal?
No, I think he often goes back home and sleeps there too, but he lives somewhere else.
In a 1-1 on a rookie deal.
You keep doing that, but
D-League.
I don't know why.
You think he's living off the D-League salary?
He's
Studio
making.
apartment.
He got a multi-million-dollar deal as a second-round pick.
Yeah, but you don't know if there's going to be another deal. You don't want to blow that all on, indulgences now.
And Bronny's home with his family is definitely so much nicer than whatever place he would be in by himself.
That's what I'm wondering. Is there like a Bronny wing that he has?
I'm sure wherever Bronny lays his head to rest is luxurious.
But he's not looking for an update on his or his father's future.
That part seems ridiculous, right? The Lakers got DeAndre Ayton for 2 years after he was bought out, and that is just to do alley-oop dunks from Luka. I'm assuming that the rest of you assume that Rich Paul coming out after LeBron James again opted in, $50+ million, has a no trade, can control everything about his future. It felt to me like Rich Paul's statement to ESPN was also, and be aware that we might ask for a trade very soon into the season because Luka's the future and we are obviously not the future because LeBron's the oldest player in the league.
And now, since that's been like a week ago, a few days, whatever it was, we can admit it feels like something weird is going on around the Lakers.
Well,
right?
the part that's weird is that they're both on the same team together. One of them's 25 and the other's 40. And
they did just get sold to the Lakers.
And
franchise.
they got sold for $10 billion. What does that make the Cowboys worth, incidentally? If the Lakers are worth $10 billion, what the hell are the Cowboys worth?
I don't know, but isn't it crazy that Jay Moore is the most successful comedian ever?
I have a way to close this loop for those who are wondering. So in 2024, Sports Illustrated wrote an article that said Bronny still lives in LeBron James' massive LA compound as Lakers.
Of course.
Okay. I stand corrected.
Can't wait to talk myself into, you got to be able to trade Highsmith for LeBron. You've got to.
Oh, wait, hold on. Update here. Bronny James finally departs $39 million family property as Lakers rookie fulfills LeBron's ultimate rule.
So I don't stand corrected.
What's his ultimate rule?
I don't know. These headlines are like
Shoes
very.
off.
It seems as though. This was 5 months ago.
The shoes are on the stand van outside of the house. Can we put up back on the screen here Johnny Bench and Mike Ryan and see if they're doing the same thing? Do we believe those two people are doing the same thing?
The answer is no, but I'm still impressed with what Mike's doing.
Thank you.
Can that be said?
Yes, that's a sufficient answer. Also, we have less doubt about the validity of mine, given that I was live on the air, and this is a grainy black and white photo. Source, just take my word for it, bro.
I do believe, though, there's a bit of cheating going on, at least a little bit, with Johnny Bench here, because is that a middle finger? Is that a finger in the middle of the baseballs that is in there? I know Mike seems to have a bit of a digit in there.
How's that cheating?
Well, because it seems like I don't even know how he's holding that top baseball. If the top of his hand, look at the top baseball and look where his top finger is. Like, how is he even doing that?
So he's holding it straight up, and that top one, I think, is just balanced on top of the other baseballs. You look at the two images, the way that I'm doing it seems to be the more difficult of the two paths.
I don't believe I can endorse what you're presently alleging.
I'm not holding it straight up where one of the baseballs can just rest up top just willy-nilly like that. I'm holding it in an angle that I actually have to grip it.
Can you reenact this if you had to?
Give me 7 baseballs. Let's try.
Well, I want to, at some point this summer, I want you to catch Punts and try and catch a baseball hand with your hands.
2 tries.
For the punt or for the
catch a
fly
punt
ball?
like nobody's business.
Okay, again with nobody's business. I still don't understand that expression.
I'm going to make it my business.
I'd like Meadowlark's.
I'd like to see that.
I'd like Meadowlark's business to become testing whether people can catch things with a bare hand or not, because I don't believe that you guys are properly respecting how hard it is to do basic athletic things in professional sports. You guys
I don't think you're respecting me. I'm a 6'3", 210-pound dude with huge digits.
You do not look in this photo
like I don't have huge digits?
Like you are doing what Johnny Bench is doing.
You're right. I'm doing something better. He's got a ball resting atop of 6 baseballs. I'm out there holding it up on live television for the world to see.
Yeah. Billy, since you got in there with that, can you tell me why it is the other day that
you and I have been locked in? We both said cobbler at the exact same time.
Cobbler, yeah. That was off air, I think.
Yeah, it was.
But we're dialed.
I'm glad that you guys have found
We're
this
bringing
chemistry.
it today, Dan. I know what a lot of people in the audience are thinking, because the thought did cross some of our minds. They said, you know what? Meadowlark's hired so many people. So many people. How lucky are we that we got most of the originals the day before the 4th of July, while all of the new people seemingly giving themselves an extended vacation, and all these people that we hired for, relief are really the ones getting all the rest while we're in here working. That's what the fans are saying. Say, you know what, fans? We're here for you. And I'm here to support Mike today, and we're locked in. Mike has ping pong balls here that he can hold.
I just caught 3 simultaneously, one hand only.
Let's
folks.
just throw things at Mike and see if he can catch
3 wiffle balls. All right, so in the interim, while you guys are doing this, you guys can do it for the last 5 minutes, but in the interim, Chris Cody, can you please put together quickly a list for me, a top 5 list of injuries that happened during otherwise happy things, the way that Red Panda just got hurt. She's out.
Spoiler alert, she might be.
Yeah, well, she's got a broken wrist. It's reported that she fell down. Yeah. Billy, are you done now tossing him things? I was hoping we would do that for 5 minutes.
No, I don't want you. You had questions. It felt like it was a distraction.
I could go without hearing from you again until after the holidays. I could be totally fine with that. Scissors. That seems safe.
He can catch. This guy can catch.
Can you give me top 5 injuries that have happened during happy things, Chris Cody?
Number 5, Dan, is Bill Gramatica celebrating a made kick, game-winning kick, and injuring his leg.
That's a good one. You think that you have 4 better than that? That is the moment that I associate with the Grammaticas. A first quarter injuring for your team, the fact they no longer have a kicker because you clearly tore your knee as a Grammatica, being too happy. That's in the first quarter. Again, the Cardinals lost their kicker for the rest of the game.
And that was their thing. Like, they got both of them,
super
both
excited.
brothers, they got so excited over any made kick.
Number 4.
Number 4, Red Panda. What happened to her? Celebrating, nice halftime show, and she fell and she broke her wrist. I don't know if she broke her wrist. She hurt her wrist.
I think she broke her wrist.
It was a re-aggravating of a previous wrist injury.
She went out on a wheelchair after hurting her wrist, which was a little odd.
Ow, that's from high up.
That was a brutal fall. So that's number 4. Number 3, Kendry Morales.
Kendry. Here,
Snapping his leg. I need my phone. That's where the list is.
Oh.
Thank
Is that
you.
stepping on home
just
plate?
threw your phone and
He
Mike
was celebrating game-winning home run, jumped at home plate. His team around him, like, snapped his leg, out for a year. I don't think he was ever the same after that. Really sad.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Number 2. I'm sorry, these guys are distracting me.
I know they are.
I'm a little-
While you guys are busy distracting Chris here before the July 4th holiday, can you guys do me the favor of getting for me the video of how the Mariners celebrated their victory yesterday? Because they have a dorky celebration where 5 or 6 of their guys sort of line dance together while do-si-doing.
He caught a phone.
Yeah, a rotary phone,
yeah.
no less. Where did we get a rotary phone
He
from?
caught a landline.
Do people even know what? Put it on the poll
This guy
at
can catch a
Lebatard Show.
kitchen sink.
Can't believe I dare you.
Put it on the poll at Lebatard Show. Do you know what a rotary phone is? Yes or no?
If I handed that phone to my younger son, he'd have no idea what's going on.
Number 2, Tony Finau snapping his ankle at the Masters par 3. He hits a hole-in-one, the family day par 3 thing, and he starts running down the whole thing, like celebrating, crowd going wild, and he hits like a slope, and he dislocates his ankle.
Was he running down the fairway? What was
It was
he
like the fairway, but it ended up being a little hill. So he, like, on the downslope, he turned his ankle, and he like popped up, and everyone's like, "What's happening?" And he literally pops his ankle back into place, and then like just limps the rest of the way. It was really sad because it was such a happy time. Family day at the Masters, par 3, my favorite event at the Masters. Number 1, accompanied by some sound here. Jonathan Pierre-Paul celebrating 4th of July with fireworks. He lost fingers.
Giants owner John Mara, who also today said he doesn't know how many fingers JPP has.
Does anybody still know how many fingers JPP has? Because he played for a long time with like a bit of a glove or a cast in order to disguise what he had done with an explosive.
Who's Jonathan Pierre-Paul?
Jason Pierre-Paul, sorry.
His brother, my bad.
Jason Pierre-Paul.
Did I say
his brother's named Jonathan Pierre-Paul?
Do you guys know how many fingers? What's the answer to the question? How many? What's your best guess? I'm going to guess 3.5. What is your best guess on how many fingers Jason Pierre-Paul has?
I would guess 8.5.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that mathematical clarification. I was doing one hand. And
Do you think he has one finger on each hand?
I'm seeing here, AI tells me he has 9 fingers.
That's not true.
He lost a portion of his index finger and some of his middle. So if you combine,
so you lose
he has
2
2
halves.
halves.
Yeah.
So that's a full.
That does
so
make a hole.
Yep.
2 halves make a hole.
So he has 9 fingers.
ChatGPT won't tell you that.
2.
You know what?
It's hard to say. How am I going to say?
No, but you surprised me.
He has 7 and 2 halves.
I know you're.
Or no, 8 and 2 halves.
You surprised me because I believe as a riddle, if we told people someone has 9 fingers, they're not going 2 halves on 2 of the fingers.
I'll bet Jonathan Pierre-Paul is all 10.